Hello everyone, Treecks here and welcome to my newest project. A project that's actually going to be taking place in multiple phases. Because we are going to play Spyro Reignited Trilogy, as you can see. I'm also getting started on this channel with the Spyro franchise. And the reason why I'm playing the Reignited Trilogy and not the original games is because I actually never owned the original games. These were actually games I missed back in the day, but always did want to try them out. And eventually they actually got re-released on modern consoles, in my case on the Xbox One, but it actually released on all platforms. And I thought, this is my chance to finally get introduced to the original trilogy of Spyro, originally released on the PlayStation in 1998. And therefore, I will be covering the three games as separate here in this Reignited Trilogy. A game about a hero dragon that is actually destined to save the world of dragons. That is actually the basic gist here. While collecting treasure throughout multiple levels, this game can be a really fun 3D platformer. All three of the games can actually be really fun 3D platformers. And like I said, I actually never owned the original games, and therefore my coverage of the three PlayStation games of Spyro will be taking place here on the Reignited Trilogy version. I hope you guys don't mind. Oh, and we're already stuck, I see. Well, that's a great start. We're still on the title screen and the game already thinks it's a good idea to freeze, apparently. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, where were we? Stuff like that can always happen. Modern technology, people, gotta love it. Hopefully stuff like this actually does not happen during the project. Not very promising. But anyway, let's continue with my story. The Let's Play of Spyro Reignited Trilogy will actually take place in 3 steps, because I will not be covering all 3 games in a row. In fact, I have not even played the 3rd game yet at this point. I just recently got the game and thought it was still suiting to place them here, because officially they are games from the 90s, even though I'm playing them way later. But because of that reason, I will only be covering the first game to start. Let's go see. Oh yeah, this is something we need to scroll past. Just tap that R button. So, we've read the whole thing, didn't we? Accept. Let's get started. Eventually, this is going to become a Let's Play of all 3 of the games, but for now I'm only going to cover Spyro the Dragon to get started, the first game. And if you pick one of your save slots, you will actually see you get the chance to play all 3 of the original PlayStation Spyro games. Of course, the 2nd and the 3rd one are going to be covered later, like I promised you guys. Here in part 1, we are going to get started with the first game from 1998, Spyro the Dragon. And yeah, if there's a dragon in the main role of a video game, I sure as hell want to play. I still can't believe it took me this long. But here we finally go. In the world of dragons. Let's go tell a story. Because of course, this game also has a story. It's not just a 3D platformer. There's also something we need to do. And a reason why we need to do it. Let's go check out the cutscene now. If the loading screen finally wants to... Yeah.
Okay, rolling.
It's been peaceful here in the 5 worlds. Or is it 6? For a dragon's age. We now have 12,000 treasure. Or is it 14,000?
What about this Gnasty Gnorc character? Now, I understand he's found a magic spell to turn gems into warriors for his cause.
I'll take that question. Nasty Gnorc is a simple creature.
Simple?
He has been contained in a remote world and is no threat to the Dragon Kingdom.
No threat?
Besides, he is ugly.
Ugly? That does it!
like I've got some things to do.
Indeed, you've got things to do, Spyro. It seems the bad guy already got introduced. A guy called Gnasty Gnorc. And the dragons were stupid enough to actually insult him. And therefore he's turned all of the dragons into crystal statues. Except for Spyro. Our purple little friend right over here. Which we are going to use to play this 3D platformer. And find all of the treasure in the lands of the dragons. That's basically our goal. And while we're busy, we might as well also save all of the other dragons. Okay, right stick actually turns around the camera. Go away, Sparks, you're up later. Let's go save the first dragon. Let's go see if he can actually tell us some introduction things. In order to save dragons in this game, all we have to do is touch the crystal statues. That's all we have to do, actually. Okay, this guy's called Nestor.
Thank you for releasing me, Spyro. Free 10 dragons in the Artisan world, then find the balloonist. He'll transport you to the next world.
What about Nasty Gnorc? I'm going after him.
Find dragons first. That's all I can tell you.
Aha! It seems this game has been divided into multiple worlds. This first one we're in actually being called the Artisans world. And we need to find 10 dragon statues before we're allowed to move on to the next world. Whenever a dragon is actually done, a fairy will appear in his place, giving us the option to actually listen to the dialogue of the dragon again, or just continue. And another thing these fairies actually do is save your game. And apparently I need to walk a little bit further. Yeah, now it works. Every time you actually move past these pedestals, the fairy will hit you with her little spell, saving your game. Remember that. That's the way to save in Spyro the Dragon and the other two games as well. Here's the second dragon, so let's go listen to more tales. Delbin.
Where's Nasty Gnorc? I'll torch him.
Keep your horns on, Spyro. You have much to learn first. Do you know what the dragonfly following you is doing? His name is Sparks, and he's helping and protecting you. Keep an eye on him and see what I mean.
Aha! Sparks. Yeah, I did already give away his name, I know, but... Apparently Sparks is a little bit of help to Spyro. And we need to keep him healthy in order to stay healthy ourselves. And next up, let's go talk about enemies. We see this guy actually running around. And he's carrying the main collectible of this game. Which we can also find just lying loose on the ground here, as you can see. The gems. And we need to collect every single one of them in every level in order to achieve 100%. That reminds me, let's go actually take a look at how to keep track of your 100%. We can pause the game. Of course we can. And here we get a little bit of a menu. And at the bottom we can see which world we were in. Artisans world, like explained. The number of gems, the total number of gems. And the same thing about the dragons. But besides that we also have a couple of options to go for. Guidebook probably being the most important one, because this is pretty much your logbook. Keeping track of your game total, and also separately in all of the worlds. 27% complete with Artisans right now, as you can see. And it's the only world we have, so changing world does nothing now. But we also have this option, skill points. Here we can actually take a look at certain missions in some of the stages in this game. Not every single stage will actually have a mission, but most of them will. And there's certain things we need to do in these stages in order to achieve skill points. And getting all of the skill points will indeed unlock something. So, also something I will take a look at. Next, let's go over the options. Also something that needs to happen. Most of the things we can actually take a look at are pretty basic. The controls, for instance. Vibration, control scheme and move list are the options here. But both of these options I'll actually be taking a look at later. It's more suiting to actually first wait until we learn the moves before we already start giving away what our little dragon friend can do. So let's go into sound. Volumes, those actually speak for themselves. We can actually change around how the sounds are balanced out. Music, effects and the voices all can be put into a different balance. I think all of them in full is pretty much good enough. This is probably a more interesting option. We can change the original music and the Reignited remixes around. So even though this is a remake of the original 3 games, the original music is still present. Probably something I will not be taking a look at, because this is not the original game. Perhaps for later. Yeah, the inverted axis I'm actually going to stay away from. I think the camera moves fine enough, so I will not be changing them around. But this is something I can actually talk about. The difference between passive and active camera. Let's go put the camera on active now. Yeah, you will not really be able to see it yourself, because you're not holding the controller. But whenever you have active camera, the camera will actually change around on its own. We don't have to manually shift it around ourselves with the right stick. Whenever it's on active, it will do it on itself. And whenever it's passive, the camera actually always stays locked behind Spyro, and we actually need to change the camera around ourselves with the right stick. That's pretty much that. We also have the option to put a map on. I'm not too sure why it's off by default, because, yeah, here it is. It's way too handy to actually have a map here, so not too sure why by default the game actually has it off. Giving us a good overview of all of the stages we're going through. Yeah, that's pretty much all of the options. So let's get started playing this first hub world. Finally. As you may have seen, one of the most important things we need to do is collectibles. Most of all, the gems. And enemies actually also have gems. This guy being the first enemy we find in the game, and therefore we still need to attack him. Spyro's attacks are charging. This we actually do by holding the X button. At least on the Xbox. There's the X button. Which you can use in order to charge enemies. But we can also press the B button to do a flame. We're a dragon after all, so of course a flame attack is also a thing. Pick wisely whenever deciding which way to attack. Flames of course being the most awesome one, but having limited range. And the charge move being suited to actually do some head bashing. Hell yeah. Now let's continue collecting all of the gems. That's something I should be able to actually achieve in this first episode. I really love how the enemies are really big cowards in this first world. The game is really trying to teach us how to deal with enemies by making the enemies not even attack us. Oh, there's another statue, and I also saw you running here. Thank you. Now let's go get ourselves some more advice. Tomas.
Hey, Spyro! Press the jump button twice to glide. And don't be afraid.
Afraid? Of what?
Falling from high mountain peaks? Plummeting into prehistoric glaciers?
Oh, that.
That is something I wouldn't have been afraid of if you didn't mention it. But we got taught a new move. Apparently we can glide. Press A while in the air. By pressing A twice, for instance, by first jumping and then gliding. And that way we can actually glide. Yeah, we're a dragon after all, so breathing fire is not the only thing we can do. We also have wings. We can also use that. Also a very important move in this game, by the way, so... Nice of Tomas to actually teach us that. Even though technically speaking you don't really need Tomas in order to do it. The move is already available to you. Tomas just mentions it is a thing. Just remember that. There's nothing unlockable in this game when it comes to moves. All of the moves you can already do. These guys are just here to point you towards it. Okay, let's go use this whirlwind in order to get up higher. Town Square. Ooh, that looks like a world. Yeah, I did mention this is a hub world, so it also functions as the entrance to the other worlds, being part of the Artisans world. Town Square being one of them. But of course we're not going to do that yet today. I'm just here for the gems. And something I would really like to try to beat today. The 100% for the Artisans hub world. And this should be everything in this little sub-room. So let's return through the corridor to the main area. Here we can actually also find a gate towards another level called Stone Hill. And here we find what I actually always call the mini-enemies of this game. These guys don't drop gems, as you can see, but they do drop butterflies. And those are actually used for sparks over here. They actually heal Sparks. More on the health later, I think, if I actually start getting damaged for the first time. But just remember, the quote-unquote mini-enemies in this game will actually drop butterflies. They can actually take different shapes. Here in the Artisans world, they are in the form of sheep. Now let's go use our newly taught glide move in order to get here. And apparently get a skill point. Let's go take a look at our mission screen. Skill points. Artisans, reach tricky platform. Okay, apparently this was the tricky platform. Good to know. But we are also here because gems are also up here. So it's a spot we need to go to anyway. Now let's go check out this northern sub-area. More chests containing gems. Thank you. And the final dragon of the Artisans world. And he's right beside a very big statue. Arcus.
Cool flash. Do that again.
The Artisan's boss is through a portal in the dragon mouth, but you're not yet ready, Spyro. First, you must complete one of the other Artisan lands.
Alright, bosses. They are apparently also a thing in this platformer. Behind there. But first we need to complete a regular level before we're allowed in there. Just good to know that is where it's located. Now let's go torch some more enemies. They have the gems I want. One of them actually went in here. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Ooh, next new mechanic. These kind of containers, pretty much being shell creatures, they actually always contain the one-ups of this game. A small little dragon statue being worth 1 extra life. Also nice to have. And this little hedge maze also contains another entrance to a world. Let's remember where all of these are. Will make next time a lot easier. Okay, nothing in here. So let's go to the final area. I've not been to yet here in the Artisans hub world. Should also be where the final couple of gems are. For a total of 100 out of 100. 100% level complete. And who are you?
If you prove your worth by rescuing 10 dragons, then you may use this balloon to fly to a new world.
Oh yeah, just like the first dragon said. In order to get to the next world, we need to save 10 dragons first. Well, we already have 4 of them here in the main hub world. But the other ones we actually need to find in the sub-levels. Which we'll be starting with next time, of course. But before we actually close off, there's one other thing I also need to do. And that actually involves this over here. This does look suspicious, right? All of these stones. Do be careful, because they're actually placed in water. And Spyro can't swim, as you can see. Oh, and as you can also see, Sparks actually turns blue now. Indicating we actually took some damage. Now if we start eating a butterfly, remember the mini enemies, we can actually heal Sparks. Remember that Sparks, he's not just here for aesthetic reasons. Our little dragonfly friend is also our health bar. Keep that in mind. Now let's go take a look at these suspicious stones. Remember not to fall in, like I said. Step on all of them. And a secret passage will open up. Also giving us an achievement if you're playing on Xbox. Find the hidden entrance to Sunny Flight. The hidden level of the hub world, you might say. So that one's also already unlocked. And with that we have completed the Artisans world. And therefore I can also say we've completed the tutorial episode of this Let's Play. Part 1 of Spyro the Dragon. And also part 1 of Spyro Reignited Trilogy. With this is done. Thank you all for watching. Next time we will get started truly with this game by also going into the sub-levels. And go towards Nasty Gnorc, who turned all of the dragons into statues. And Treecks out. And there's nothing in this door.